The Everything Sequel podcast contains explicit language, and I will not go to my room. Hello and welcome to the Everything Sequel podcast. This is a $5 Patreon edition. Today, we're talking airplane! Always forget about that exclamation point in the title. My name is Michael Shantz of the How Dare You Awards. Joining me, the man waiting in the taxi cab just for me to show up, Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions. Say hi, Tom.
Listen, Betty, don't start up with your White Zone shit again. Arguably the first elite gag in the movie.
Amazing. You want to hear something funny about that? Do you know about those two voices?
No, I don't have any cheese, mate.
They auditioned like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people or something like that, and then just found the two people that actually do the recordings because they were the best.
So many of my notes are about the reason that the movie works so well. It's all to do with authenticity, right?
Yeah.
Getting the actual people who do this for real in their daily lives, and that's just an extension of that, and just shows how that philosophy is kind of applied fully throughout this movie. But I in subsequent reviewings of this film, what really struck me is the how much I like the opening section of the movie. Because it shows me that they understand the art of film comedy. You don't want to bombard or overwhelm your audience too soon with jokes. So what you get is like a series of perfunctory gags, and they slowly ramp up, and then they hit you with the kind of the White Zone run. And it isn't done here. We've got a whole other section where we find out this is all to do with an abortion.
Yeah, right.
Coming up, but
it's still pretty close. I mean, it's all at the first few minutes of this movie.
But I think
because my note's a little different. My note is, I mean, this movie can't go 5 seconds without a fantastic joke.
But that warm up, that ramping up is so important, and it's what makes this to me like less a movie and more an instructional manual on screen comedy, because it goes back to the golden age of Hollywood and those comedies like Bringing Up Baby and the Philadelphia Story, where they start kind of non-comedically, like they have whole scenes which don't have any jokes in them. Obviously there are jokes peppered in, but not their strongest material, and then they kind of hit this level with this White Zone joke, and it stays there for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, right.
So this is like the only respite the audience is gonna get, the only time they have to settle in to the movie.
Sure,
but it's so important to have those few minutes where you're not bombarding the audience with jokes. You're just kind of gradually waking them up.
I hear you, but I think of it differently. I think what really works for the film more than anything is how deadly serious they take the narrative.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I mean that's throughout
yeah.
This is also, it's not just the art of comedy, it's the art of pastiche. And that is to keep it as straight and legitimate and authentic as possible.
Yeah.
And never play the comedy. Actually, they let one actor play the comedy, and it's worth it.
Yeah, it's
and
fine.
The fact that it's just him is why it works. He's in his own little comedy
he's got his
bubble.
own bubble. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's literally the only person in the movie who's playing any scene for laughs.
Right.
In the entire movie. And this is arguably the funniest movie of all time.
It's made on many people's lists.
It's made so by a cast who refused to play anything for laughs. So
But I think that's part of the magic of those three directors. They wanted to do something new, because you have something maybe adjacent.
It's new and it's old as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have something adjacent in Young Frankenstein, where we're trying to do the the old school horror film. Like, we're holding that narrative
Yeah.
pretty seriously throughout that movie. But I mean, Gene Wilder put the candle back. You know, we are playing some things for laughs in that movie, in performance, and in this movie it's different. They really, it felt like they wanted to literally build something new in comedy.
Yeah. I mean, this is, you know, this and Police Squad is the purest expression of what these directors do with the art of pastiche.
Yeah.
Each of their other films kind of deviate from that model in different ways. Some of them are kind of looking for laughs or have more self-awareness. But it's the lack of self-awareness that makes Airplane and Police Squad
the best for me.
The best work of these filmmakers, and truly revolutionary. The idea that in order to lampoon something, you get the people who really do it, and you have them recreate it, and you find the comedy within that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's phenomenal, right? It's revolutionary.
Mm-hmm.
That revolutionary comedy without comedians.
Yeah,
that's what they do, and I mean, subsequently they make comedians out of actors.
Out of people. I mean, some of the best comedians. This gives Leslie Nielsen a whole other second half
and
of
Lloyd
his career.
Bridges.
Yeah, and Lloyd Bridges.
He was
he goes on to be the president.
Yeah, he was a straight actor before that. Leslie Nielsen was a straight actor before this. Robert Stack kind of stays a straight actor, but he does kind of comedy on demand. He's the voice of the FBI agent in Beavis and Butthead Do America, the one who's obsessed with cavity searches. Because apparently Mike Judge, when he was writing it, heard a voice in his head, and
it was just his voice.
That voice later turned out to be Robert Stack.
That's funny. And you know what's funny is those three guys, we'll get to them in a moment, but the Zuckers and Abrams, the necessity for them to stick to that bit, to take it deadly serious, was so much so that not Leslie Nielsen apparently got it right away, but Lloyd Bridges, Robert Stack, these were guys that occasionally they'd have to pull aside and sort of explain the bit to them. Graves very much didn't understand what was funny about any of his lines, famously. Yeah. And they said, no, don't worry about it. It's like this. And then we're going to explain it at the end of the movie. And he's like, oh, okay. And then they don't ever explain it. But Stack, something in like that moment with like, he's the head honcho, the big cheese, the guy in charge.
He's doing some of the best acting of his life.
Ever. So good. But
all of it dramatic.
But apparently on set he wasn't getting it at first, and then I think it was Jerry. One of them had to pull him aside and basically give him a line reading as himself and say, "No, it's like when you did this in this movie, so say it like this."
But that's
and then he started to hook in, and so just the idea that those three directors knew exactly what they wanted and could communicate it to the actors that didn't even quite understand it all to give us this.
Yeah, but they're, that's not them being deceptive or dishonest. That's what they want. They want, they base this movie on the screenplay of Zero Hour, which, when they did a parody pastiche TV show. They wanted to do one on 0 Hour, so they recorded, they put a tape recorder up to the TV to record a late night showing of 0 Hour. So they basically have this they use it as a transcript for their movie. I mean, there are whole lines of dialogue that are from 0 Hour. I would argue that I think there are whole scenes of dialogue that come straight from 0 Hour.
No, I think that's absolutely accurate.
And shot for shot recreation. And it's working on all levels. It's not just about the actors that you pick, although that is crucial.
I'm pretty sure there's a hysterical woman. I'm pretty sure that's like just nabbed straight from the movie.
Yeah, but at the same time, like they never just focus on jokes that only make sense in the context of this one movie. Like the hysterical woman scene feels like, you know, a litany of movies from the 60s and 70s where women are slapped around for no reason other than to see women slapped around, you know. Most Connery Bond movies are like that.
Yeah, right.
So they speak to a, you know, a larger truth about what they're parodying and what they're pastiching. But it's working on all levels of filmmaking. It, you know, it's the direction, the acting, the music, getting Elmer Bernstein.
Bernstein, I was going to say, I knew who it was. Very excited for myself, sir.
Yeah, and again, like, you just ask him to write a soundtrack for this kind of a movie, you know, this kind of a movie, if it wasn't a comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he gives you. You know, there is nothing inherently comedic except by association of da 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 da. That's what an airplane disaster movie soundtrack really sounds like.
I had the biggest laugh maybe I've had that I never had before for this on this particular watching when Ted Stryker walks up to the plane and they just have an establishing shot of the plane and then you get this bum bum, like this real doomsday kind of music strike that it was like the villain of a horror movie came crashing through
completely
a dark corner. It was amazing.
Yeah, and there's so there's that going. There's the kind of there's the pastiche element, you know, the recreation of 0 Hour, you know, trying to make this as close to making the real version of the non-comedic version of this movie as possible. And then there's just that extra level of commentary on cinema and pop culture in general, which also kind of hovers cloud-like over this movie as well.
Yeah,
so brilliantly. You know, it's a reflection on what the past decade in cinema has been like, what the past decade in pop culture has been, in music and sports, and it's all happening within this kind of like microcosm of a bad late B movie on late night TV.
Yeah,
it's just, I mean, that's why it's, you know, we talk about movies that are less than the sum of their parts. I mean, this is the sum of its parts plus infinity. And yet you can break it down to these tiny units that work independently as well.
Right.
Like you could TikTok this entire movie into like short clips and it would still work. But the glorious whole of it, watching it as a is it 90 minutes, 80 minutes?
No, yeah, it's under 90.
Watching
it's like an hour 25 or something.
You almost can't quite believe how perfect it is.
It works as a whole, right?
And and again, like it takes a few minutes to warm up, and then the rest of the movie is gangbusters. Amazing.
Well, if you haven't guessed, we're talking Airplane, 1980 film with 97% on
Now
Rotten
you're making
Tomatoes.
me think of Jeb. Jeb, for those of you who don't know, and why would you? It was already forgotten while it was happening. Jeb Bush's
campaign,
2016 presidential campaign. He had an excellent mark after the Jeb. So whenever
Jeb,
it was on, whenever Stephen Colbert was talking,
mostly, yeah,
he would always go Jeb. Wasn't there also a moment in that campaign where he literally during a speech stopped and said, "Please clap"?
Yeah, there was.
Wow.
Mr. Personality.
It's so funny, like, people say all the time about how did Trump ever get elected in 2016? I'm like, there are reasons.
Yeah.
There are reasons. I mean, it's baffling in some senses. In other senses, not so much.
Well, getting back on the tracks, this movie had a budget of $3.5 million. I only had it opened on a Wednesday, so I have a opening 5-day total of $6.6 million. In the USA, it gathered $83,493,000, and in the world, $83,455,000.
Wow.
And we've kind of talked around it, but Jim Abrams, David Zucker, and Jerry Zucker are this movie's directors. Now, they directed 2 other movies altogether. One surprised me. I didn't remember this. Top Secret, I think most people knew, but also Ruthless People.
Oh, no, I had no idea that was them.
Me either. And then individually, let's see, Jim here, he directed Big Business, Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael, Hot Shots, and Hot Shots Part 2, and Mafia, which I think is a late... No, wait, is that Dom DeLuise, or is...
Lloyd Bridges is in it, I know that for sure.
Okay, so not Leslie?
I've literally... No,
Okay.
no. Lloyd Bridges is the fall guy for that one. I remember... And that's another Mafia... Mafia! That's exclamation
Yeah, it's
mark,
another exclamation point, you're right.
So, yeah, but unfortunately it is, having seen it, it is the Jeb of the Zucker's film. Oh,
That's
honestly,
what I remember.
I don't remember anything about the movie. I remember watching the trailer on VHS, and there's just a scene where Lloyd Bridges bends over and farts, and that was sort of like, you're putting that in the trailer? It doesn't hold out much hope for the rest
That's
of the
the
movie.
best you've got?
Yeah. But again, like everything... I mean, they're the victims of their own success because, you know,
Sure.
there's a fart joke in this that is just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That cannot be improved on. It involves it also involves Peter Graves, who you don't associate with physical comedy. And yeah,
Flatulence.
and you know, I love this idea that they're kind of they're puppeteering him. They're like, now do this now, say this line here.
Amazing piece of physical comedy right there.
If that's what it takes, my God, he's never been better. I mean, I've watched, you know, weeks worth of Mission Impossible, and this is the best performance he's ever given.
Well, moving on to David Zucker. He did both Naked Gun and Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, Basketball.
Ooh,
And
interesting. Trey Parker,
did-
Matt Stone collab.
Yeah, and he directed Scary Movie 3 and 4 and directed,
Yes.
I guess, scenes or something, like additional scenes for Scary Movie 5. And then he did My Boss's Daughter. And then you, of course, have Jerry Zucker, who I think has the most interesting filmography of the 3 because he comes out with Ghost,
Yes.
which is like a gangbusters runaway smash hit. The biggest
Also,
hit
like
of any
also,
of these.
Also, like it's well, I mean, there's a couple of things. The fact that Ghost is parodied in Naked Gun 2.5.
2.5, yeah.
I never knew that. I never knew that was self.
Like
parody.
a self-parody, yeah.
But also, like Ghost is almost like the opposite of this. It's kind of like you have all the elements of parody, but you're playing it. You're playing it as a straight movie.
Yeah, you just make us a regular movie.
So I love the idea that they could totally code switch between drama and comedy.
It's called code switching.
Just like that is, I mean, that's the story of this movie, isn't it? It's sort of like you play it all as drama from start to finish, and you. It's a trick. Like it makes me wonder why everyone tries so hard. Because they figured out in 1980 that if you just do deadpan line readings of this scene,
It'll work.
You make the funniest movie ever.
Well, after Ghost, it appeared he had, you know, all the cachet to do whatever he wanted, and he filmed First Night, if you remember that movie with Richard Gere.
Sean Connery.
Yeah. And then he made a little movie called Rat Race.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently Rat Race was enough for Hollywood to say, you can't make movies anymore. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because he hasn't made one since.
Well, you say that, but how many scary movies exist in the world? I mean, I'd say that 5 scary movies is worse than 1 Rat Race. It's interesting, though, because only one of those directors kind of figured out how to appeal to the next generation.
Of what? Of
the first Zucker you mentioned went on to do the one who went on to do all the scary movies.
Uh-huh.
He
That's
was able
Abrams.
to
No,
well,
sorry,
okay.
that's David.
David. Well, he was able to translate what he did to a new generation, but the other two kind of got stuck
Hmm.
in their with their audience. But he was able to find a new, younger audience. I just find that that's really, really interesting. Like, what's the secret sauce that means that young people will come and see his movies in a way that they won't with the other two?
Yeah, interesting. Well, you know me, I do like a Gulf and Western Paramount logo.
Well,
they make me happy.
I imagine myself as Steven Spielberg sitting here,
right? And we've talked about this before because it's like it's the perfect amount of time out, right?
Well, just he's sitting there, and he sees the live action mountain turn into the Paramount logo, and then in his kind of his cinematic brain, he goes, "Oh, I could flip that."
Yeah,
and that's what he does.
Yeah,
it's kind of like Indiana. So it's like Indiana Jones. The logo itself is like Indiana Jones in reverse.
In reverse.
So I imagine myself as Steven Spielberg, in the middle of a Wednesday afternoon.
Well, see, what I like
Paramount
is
screening room,
because we have this kind of parody of Jaws with the music and the tail going through the clouds.
But
good. What I liked about it was what I noticed was the plane jumps out of the clouds like the shark does the water, and they take even this bit they take deadly serious as though it's the same exact. We have to build it exactly as it would happen in Jaws.
And it also
I love that.
It lets the audience know that part of the project of this movie is going to be to lampoon the kind of past decade of cinema.
Mm-hmm.
And Jaws, Saturday Night Fever, disaster movies in general, Airport in particular.
Airport mostly, yeah. I mean, I think 0 Hour is obviously the sort of thing that they based it on, but there's a lot of airport in this movie as well. The airports, whatever they are. Because there's
because the last one was
like 77, 78.
I think there's one called Concorde 79. So
okay,
they're coming literally. They're coming in right on the because they're 67 Casino Royaling the airport series, and so they're coming in immediately with the parody to this long-running series that has established itself.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, aside from the pulpy add-on of the exclamation mark, pretty much you and obviously the Jaws parody, this is what you would see. This is what the source titles of a real airplane disaster movie would be.
Yeah, sure.
And it reminded me of someone recently on YouTube did a side-by-side comparison of the opening credits of Police Squad and a 1960s police procedural starring Lee Martin called M Squad.
Oh God!
Which a lot of people think was the 0 Hour of Police Squad,
Police Squad,
basically.
Yeah.
And they synced it. They did they synced it the timing of it, but imagistically it was essentially the same.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that there's a airplane disaster movie, maybe even 0 Hour itself, that pretty much begins exactly this way. And then likewise with the music, right?
Yeah.
The first thing you notice about this movie, it does not have a comedy soundtrack. There is no clown car sound effects to be heard anywhere in this movie. There is no punctuation of the jokes. If anything, it wants you to get in a frame of mind where you're not expecting jokes.
Yeah.
Where you're being asked to take it seriously right from the beginning. And then hiring Elmer Bernstein is such the sign that this is the guy you'd get if you were doing it seriously.
Sure.
And I love how they start slow. This is really important as well. Like they've not abandoned the art of regular film storytelling, where you've got to introduce our cast of characters.
Yeah, right.
With minimum fuss, and that means kind of minimum gags, like one gag per couple. So basically,
yeah.
And the white zone joke kind of creeps up on you as well.
Yeah, it keeps ramping.
It's like it almost to the point where you're like, it's just background noise. I'm not even meant to be listening. And then you're sort of like, oh, I'm meant to be listening to this. This is really funny. And then they hit you with don't start with your white zone shit.
Yeah.
And then they go on to sort of saying this is about that abortion, isn't it? And it's just
When you think about it, it's the only sensible thing to do. Fucking.
But also, and this is the other part of the movie that I don't know why, but I never clocked before, is that they stumbled upon timeless observational comedy about airports and airplanes, like the experience of air travel. So many of the jokes in the movie are built out of this everyday sense of the absurd that's created by the process
of getting on a plane,
getting in a tin can and going into the sky and then coming back down from the sky a few hours later.
Right.
And they so that they can, there's so much absurdism you can mine from that.
Mm-hmm.
And they mine it all. They literally they sift all the gold out of there.
Oh, absolutely. Jimmy Walker will look under the hood of that plane in short time. But for now, you know what I really appreciated? It's the smallest joke probably in the entire movie, except they do it a couple of times.
Yeah.
But Julie Haggerty is walking into the airport, and a guy comes up, and he's like, please take this flower for the whatever the church is. And he says, would you like to make a donation? And she says, no.
Yeah.
And just keeps walking.
It's really good.
Smallest joke, but so fucking funny.
And that has a kind of time capsule quality as well, because you're sort of... presumably because organizations are not allowed to congregate in airports in the way that you used to. You don't see, like,
not even family members. I mean, we used to be able to go to the gates,
right? Yeah,
and
exactly.
wait for people,
So, but there was, you see it in this and other kind of cultural commentaries of the time. A comment on, it's kind of like cheap observational humor as you go to the airport and there's a bunch of Hare Krishnas, trying to talk to you about their religion. It's inverted really well in The Simpsons, in the episode where Apu goes back to India, and then there's a couple of Indian guys like going to the airport, and there's these kind of born again Christians playing keyboards, and he says, "Oh no, Christians!" But it's such a time capsule as well of that, and they even invert it because they have the Hare Krishnas like scoffing at the kind of like the other kind of hippies who are trying to give them.
We gave it The Office.
Yeah, that's it. We gave it The Office.
Do you know who that is?
Probably not.
I don't think you're old enough to know, but the actor's name is David Leisure.
Ooh.
And he used to do these Isuzu commercials where he played Joe Isuzu.
Uh-huh. You've got my interest. Go on.
Well, what's amazing about this is that if you go back and watch Joe Isuzu commercials, I think Stephen Colbert was a big enough fan because, do you remember on the Colbert Report, he did The Word, tonight's Word?
Yeah.
Those bits basically... they're like stolen from Joe Isuzu commercials.
Well, then Joe Isuzu invented PowerPoint, didn't he? Because I always thought that was a PowerPoint.
Basically, yeah. Because Joe Isuzu would say things like, this is my mom. And my mom would, be able to buy this Jeep with just change from her couch or whatever. And then something would flash on the screen that would say, that's a lie. It actually cost $30,000, not 30 cents, or something like that.
Fantastic.
And so, what a great bit. But it was one of those things where there weren't a lot of people that became famous for just doing commercials, and he was one of them.
Or that didn't go on to do something else, like Ernest.
Yeah.
Like Jim Varney, right?
I mean, he did some stuff here and there. He was on some sitcoms.
Okay.
But nothing that took on quite the weight that Joe Isuzu commercials did. Every time I see him, I think Joe Isuzu.
and that's really consistent in this movie, like their ability to, I'm not saying he's not an actor, but casting people from other walks of culture that are not necessarily cinematic or television. like Kareem Abdul-Jabbar will get in a moment, and
Oh,
it's sort of like sports stars weren't regularly included in movies, even comedy movies before.
No,
this,
yeah.
right?
I
This is
think
a
that's
precedent.
it's a fair. I don't know that it's a precedent because I want to say Jim Brown was in. Isn't he in The Dirty Dozen?
But he was trying to. I think he's trying to be an actor.
He is.
I don't. I think it's a different from an. I don't think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is trying to launch a acting career.
He's not. But the
Yeah.
three guys I think of were all football players, and that's Jim Brown, Carl Weathers, and Fred Dreyer.
Well, and O.J. Simpson as well.
Yeah, true. OJ.
Yeah.
I don't know if he was doing something yet, but
We'll talk more about him later.
he'll be in our lives.
He will be in the lives, and I'll have some unduly complimentary things to say about him as always when we talk about Naked Gun movies.
Me too.
But that's not. But for all I have to thankfully all I have to do is talk about is to praise Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who's a genuinely good person. And also wonderful in this movie.
Wonderful,
and what he's doing in the movie is just a breakthrough in like he gave LeBron James an extra source of income by breaking this ground. Like LeBron James owes him billions.
A debt of gratitude.
No, literally billions. I think literally Kareem Abdul-Jabbar could go for court and it's like, hey, he wouldn't have earned that money if I wasn't in Airplane and made this a thing that lazy comedy directors put sports stars in their movies to try and make it seem like their movies weren't 4 hours long and not funny.
All right, I want to get to Kareem, but let's wait for a second.
We've got there's too much in between. I mean,
exactly.
My next note is about like what this opening section also does. That like again the work of storytelling. It introduces the range of gags that are possible within the frame of this movie. So we have verbal, sight, sound, comedy of misunderstanding, straight satire, and then a literally running gag.
Yeah.
We start a meter running that takes us through the entirety of the movie.
Till the very end.
I mean, that's the definition of a running gag. Literally starts a meter running, and
there's maybe nothing funnier than a guy who gets in the cab, Stryker's leaving the cab, but just reaches in and puts that bar down.
Yes.
It's such an ultimate fuck you.
I have a lot to say about how this movie draws on comedy movie traditions from the golden age of Hollywood and revitalizes them, but this moment to me is like does what you're talking about, which is takes apart the concept of film comedy and just reconstructs it from the inside.
Yeah, and
they do that again and again in this movie, and this is one of the best, literally the best example of it. I mean, it's everyone's go-to definition. Well, if it's not, it should be of a running gag.
Yeah.
And they do this again and again. They have the textbook example of every comic trope in cinema in the course of this movie.
Because coming up, you have both the verbal and sight gag of the Mayo Clinic.
Peter Graves' first scene is
amazing.
Like, it's a seamless chain of jokes. It's the festival of humor.
It's amazing.
running jokes, single jokes, callbacks, visual, verbal, conceptual jokes, answering the phone, and then talking to the announcer to say that he's got it, which is again like something.
Well, first he picks it up and she says, "No, the white phone."
Yes, and it's like, and then it's like it's reinvented in The Simpsons with Principal Skinner. Bring your kids to school, bring your children to work day. And Nelson goes, bring your children to work day? Yes, that's right, bring your children to work day. Funny, I shouldn't have been able to hear that. So it's all going on there. But also, the one more thing about the taxi gag, we'll keep going back to it, obviously. Yeah. But it goes beyond a joke. It's representative of how the film is working against a ticking clock. I wouldn't say this film is necessarily real time, but that's what it's supposed to feel
Close
like.
to, yeah.
It's close to it. It's what it's supposed to feel like. You know that there's there's several mini deadlines in the movie.
Sure.
One of them, which you subsequently forget about, is that this guy is fucking fares going up and up and up.
They go back the perfect. It's the
3
rule
times.
of 3 for
Yeah.
1.
One now, middle of the movie, after the end of the movie. Perfect.
Credits, post credits, amazing.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk when we get to the credit check. We'll talk about where this stands in the GOAT league of post credit scenes.
Well,
And
visual.
spoiler alert: it's pretty high.
Yeah, I think it's a battle between this and one other movie, and that's it.
Me too. I agree. I totally agree.
It's probably the same movie.
I think so.
But I forgot, we also, right before all that Mayo Clinic stuff, we also have that sight gag of the plane coming through the window and that fucking baby.
It's
so much more close up than I remembered it too.
Well,
The shot itself, I mean.
It's doubly impressive, not only the quality of the gag, but we'll go back to something that Matt Aldrich once said on this podcast, which is that money is the enemy of comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Which is true for a lot of comedy.
Yeah.
But the kind of pastiche-based comedy that we're doing here, you actually need to emulate the production values of whatever
Of what those
imitating.
movies are, yeah.
Unless you specifically want to undercut that for comedic purposes, and this movie has it both ways.
Yeah, they have that with the model airplane.
With the model airplane, but this scene,
well as the sound
the joke
of the
is,
prop plane.
Yes, the joke
Amazing.
is that this does. The joke is not that this looks bad.
Right.
And
There's some of that though. If you go back, I think that one of the things that I do think works for this movie is the sort of a bit of messiness about it. But it's not a lot there. It's like every once in a while, I think on maybe on TV versions or something, you could see the boom mic walking as they're walking through the airport.
Yeah.
Or see people when they're flipped over when what's his name? Kramer comes through the airport and is throwing people around.
Right.
He's like, you can kind of like, if you look, you can see mats on the floor and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't, to me, at all hurt the movie.
It's always purposeful.
Yeah. So I don't know. I know that Graves is looking at whacking material, but maybe we should take our first break and.
Is that your way of saying you want to use this break to jerk off? I don't know. If so, you don't have to be that coy.
I can't get through the podcast, Tom. I need some me time.
Looks like you gave you picked the wrong week to give up jacking off.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't. I mean, I've seen this movie more than 50 times, I'm sure.
Me too.
And it's not that I've never seen before that it says whacking material, but I just love that that's your introduction to the character. So they're announcing who he is before the kid even gets on the plane. Anyway.
And that literally they're, and that this is possibly Peter Graves may not have understood. He may not have also wanted to understand, because part of it is desecrating the image of a primetime leading man.
Mm-hmm.
And not just a primetime leading man, but a character like Jim Phelps, who, is the ultimate authority.
Mm-hmm.
The ultimate male authority. And to undercut him in the way they do in this scene, it only works because of that imbalance, because of that cognitive dissonance. So maybe he's not in on the joke. Maybe he didn't want to be in on the joke because he's being kind of routinely embarrassed.
Yeah.
In a way that he's probably not used to.
In his regular life.
I don't think Billy Wilder on the set of Stalag 17 is giving him this kind of... Although, interestingly, we've just done Mission Impossible. I know we're going to a break, but we've done Mission Impossible. And I don't know. Have you seen Stalag 17?
I don't know that I've ever seen Stalag 17.
With William Holden? Okay. Oh, I won't spoil it for you, but But basically, the guy who plays Jim Phelps turns out to be the bad guy in a very similar way that John Voight turns out to be the bad guy in the Mission Impossible that is not Peter Graves.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Well, on that little tidbit, we'll take a break and we'll come right back. Fake break. So we'll be back soon. Don't worry about it. Right after this. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Tom and I are here discussing Modern Sperm, the magazine of choice by one Peter Graves.
Wonderful.
What a good joke.
Oh, yeah.
And there's something about the sight gag when the Mayo Clinic's on the phone and all the different jars of mayo on the fucking shelves behind him.
Depth of field comedy.
It so much.
We've talked about this before when we did Hot Shots Part 2, but the use of foreground and background to the art of depth of field comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does for this particular scene, you've actually got two kinds of visual comedy going on in one frame, and
because you got the heart.
And it's an exposition dump. Like, if you care to listen, and you don't have to, you find out a lot of information about one of the subplots of this movie. So
right,
because you've got the bouncing heart and the Mayo Clinic, and between actually right before that, a scene that I really love is the first scene between Ted and Elaine.
Mm-hmm.
Because played completely straight, with what I imagine is verbatim dialogue from 0 Hour. And then they take a moment, and he turns to the camera and says, "What a pisser."
What a pisser.
And I gotta say, this movie isn't often talked about in terms of restraint, but I think it should be, because this is one of 2 or 3 times that they actually look into the camera in the entire movie. You might think, in abstract, that this is a movie where everyone is looking into the camera every 3 minutes. It's actually maybe twice. I counted twice in this movie. There's maybe more examples of it, but they really pick their moment, and I don't know why that line always gets me, but just that slight addition.
Well, I think what it is because it's a button on a scene that's taken desperately serious about a relationship.
Yeah.
And so that's what works about it, is that he's talking about his war record and she's trying to tell him, I loved you once, but you're the only one talking about your war record. And it's also deadly serious about why this couple broke up. And she leaves in a manner that you would see in sort of a dramatic breakup kind of movie, in which he says, I can't be with someone that I don't respect, and just runs off. And then the button is him looking at the camera and saying, what a pisser.
But also, I have more to say about this when we talk about Naked Gun, which is going to be our other Patreon movie for this month.
Spoiler alert.
Well, it was only a good...
Get your $10 ready.
One of 2 movies, but there's an art of writing insert lines that has been lost in film comedy.
Yeah.
So what we do now is we presumably the director turns to the actor on screen and says, "Okay, improvise a reaction to this." And then they do what I like to call stumble mumble comedy, where they go, "Oh yeah, I guess. Oh, that was weird, wasn't it?" Some variation of that. You have to write these lines, and this is. I think
there are different. I think television gets it right. If you go back when The Office was good, they'd have lots of alts that were written.
Yeah, but I think that's also where The Rock kind of set in a little bit. But yeah, you've got it. You need a kill line of 2 or 3, like max 3 words.
Yeah.
And the Zucker Abrams trifecta do it better than anyone else. And I think What a Pisser is like, if that line had 1 extra word in it, it would have been half as funny.
Yeah, right.
What a Pisser is like the I don't know. It's it's kind of the point where you're like, I know it's not an, it can't, I know it's definitely not an improv because they do this sort of thing too often for it to be an improv. But it literally, you know, it feels like the actor just decided to look at the camera and say this.
Yeah.
But
I feel like today that line would be, "Can you believe this shit?"
Exactly. It would be, "Well, that just happened." Or,
yeah. And that's too long, and actually I can believe it because in the narrative, she explained exactly why it happened.
But again, this is where they bridge new and old so well, because, you know, if Oliver Hardy could speak, this is what he would say every time Stan Laurel did some dumb thing and he looked into the camera. It would be something along the lines of, "What a pisser." But no, he just had to look at the audience and then flail with his bow tie over dramatically. So I just wanted to point that out because I'm just in awe of that. Again, that restraint, like restraint both in terms of playing the scene entirely dramatically and only having that button, but also that the button is one of the few times in the movie that you ever look into the camera.
Right.
Like, mugging is not a thing in this. Mugging to camera is not a thing in this movie, and it is in some later movies of theirs. And
not even Jimmy Walker mugs in this movie, and he's the next scene.
Have you ever like the stories about Norman Lear trying to tone him down?
Yeah,
really interesting. And he would just ignore him seemingly. And Norman Lear was like, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I've heard Alec Baldwin tell those kinds of stories when dealing with Mamet as well.
Oh yeah.
Mamet would come up to him and say, put a little less on that, Alec. Yeah, put a little less on it. And just a little less on that. He said he would do it exactly the same, and he goes, "What do you think of that?" I think that worked because I really brought it down.
Yeah, the election was stolen.
We got more sight gags, though, because not only do we have Jimmy Walker opening up the hood of the plane, but we have Graves running his credit card. And just the actual visual sight gag that really made me laugh this time that I don't think has ever made me laugh before is watching Kareem Abdul-Jabbar walk into the cockpit. Because he's so fucking tall, he has to bend down, and I start thinking about the hiring process of hiring this giant man to be a pilot.
Yeah, he's a little bit like Al in Police Squad in that sense.
Yeah.
You know, we get to play the height gag too. Yeah, I mean, it feels, to me, this is where it started to feel to me watching it this time like a found footage film. Like, plots, characters, dialogue from 0 Hour.
Mm-hmm.
But the early stages of this movie, I think, also make it clear the key is you underplay everything. Like, everyone's doing really basic acting at a fundamental level. No one in the cast is hamming it up. And what I was drawn to this time, weirdly, was not Jimmy Walker's hijinks on the out beyond the window. It was just this really nuanced like almost documentary-like conversation that these two pilots were having to each other. Which, by the way, for the first time now I've seen it, I know that the other pilot, the non-Peter Graves pilot, is Martin from V.
Yeah, right.
That gave it a whole extra dimension watching it this time. Yeah, like it's like literally, I don't know if they tell them, like, again, David Mamet, put less on it, but almost like pretend like the gag's not happening.
Yeah.
Just you know, you're absent-mindedly, you know, giving them your credit card and getting it like, it's more than just deadpanning it.
Someone has opened your window and asked for your credit card, so you have to give them your credit card.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, it's like
it's that simple.
It's not just understatement. It's almost, you know, like, play the ignorance.
Yeah,
play ignorance of the joke, and it's just beautiful. I think it's seeing a sports star in a comedy movie is familiar now, but it must have felt dazzlingly new then. And just, you know, ushering in this new age of celebrity as well, like putting like non-acting celebrities in movies, and I think that Zucker and Abrams have got a really good hold on that, you know, the people who go to movies are also sports fans, or they're also music fans, right? And that's a very progressive point of view in the early 80s to sort of say, you know, one day this is all going to be one thing. So let's just appeal to culture.
Yeah.
And they're right. They're totally vindicated now. Like in conglomeration, multimedia, it's all going to become one amorphous blob, and they kind of clock that even in the early 80s, that people are going to want to see their sports stars in the movies. People are going to want to see, actors in music videos. Like it's all gonna collapse in on each other, and also, but at the same time, and this is where this is truly brilliant, you don't need to know anything about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar as an athlete for these jokes to be funny. So they're including everybody and excluding no one.
Yeah.
And that is really rare in comedy. That's the rarest comic bird of all. That's the dodo of fucking comedy.
What I like about it, though, is there is a metatextual kind of aspect to it. And you don't have to have it to get the joke that Kareem's funny. But, you wouldn't probably know this, but he literally had just won an NBA championship. I think that's Magic Johnson's first year, and their first game together, I don't remember who made the shot, if it was Magic or Kareem or someone else for that matter, but they won their first game of the year on a last-second shot.
Uh-huh.
And Magic Johnson went so apeshit, like jumping on top of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who was famously, like the kid describes him in the movie, mellow, like... Mm-hmm. When Magic Johnson does this, he's like, we've got 82 motherfucking more games, or 81 more fucking games of this shit. I can't have this kid being this fucking excited for 81 more games. That just doesn't work for me. And Magic Johnson kind of said, well, that's what I'm going to be. So, and so to be able to bring that aspect of him into this movie, where he defends himself to that fucking kid. And the way there's violence against both women and children in this movie that still is, like, the way he grabs him and brings him to him.
Oh, yeah.
The way he shoves him away and the camera lingers on the kid for a moment.
Never has domestic violence been funnier than in this movie.
Fucking shit.
Yeah, and as well, it's a complex mode of address to the audience, because the movie kind of exists in a limbo between the fictional world you're creating with the movie and the world that the audience lives in. Like, it lives in limbo between those two. And so Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's kind of the only other time I've seen it done... He's the bridge. The only other time I've seen it done like that is in Jim Jarmusch's Coffee and Cigarettes, where you have Bill Murray as a waiter in a Russian tea house with no explanation as to why. It is Bill Murray. It's not someone who looks like Bill Murray. But there's no explanation as to why he's doing that job and not his actual job. Yeah, to a lesser extent, there's that zombie movie that he's in, too. Same actor, Bill Murray, where he plays himself. You're so right. He does this all over town. This is his shtick. It's his shtick. Yeah. But I just love... I just think it's a whole new arena of comedy. Yeah. Or is it stadium of comedy? You can tell me which. Well, it depends on what sport you're playing. I know. It just basketball would be arena. Hey, I got it right. But it opens up a whole nother dimension for the comedy. And I can't believe no one thought about it before. And I'm sure there are rare historical examples, but in general, you didn't expect to see sports celebrities in your movie in this sense, where they're pretty much the lead characters, playing themselves yet playing someone else. Someone else, yeah. Like, it's just the pilot just happens to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. and the best part of it is there's no explanation as to why he's traveling under this pseudonym and has this other job. You can headcanon it about, everything you're saying about wanting to get away from the limelight, and he's trying to he's trying to escape. You can headcanon all that, but they never say it in the movie because that's not the point. The point is the disparity. That's what's funny about it. It's so good. It's also, I mean, I just made the point that, you know, it's multimedia and before we really did multimedia, but it's also very cinematic. Like it understands
No.
where from it came. And the scene where, you know, and we'll build on this as we go on, but whenever Ted Stryker has a flashback, it's just stock footage around his head. And I just love that they're literally going, let's get Paramount stock footage.
Mm-hmm.
And forge humor out of that. Like, let's use all the cinematic tools at our disposal in this.
But later in the movie, when it gets to like building wings on top of bicycles,
the
and
Wright
falling off
the
of
Wright
barns.
brothers, yeah, the
Oh,
Wright brothers
fuck.
stuff. It's just fantastic, and I'm sure. And again, this is where you can tell that there's something like this really happened in 0 Hour.
Mm-hmm.
This was probably every time you went to the equivalent character was probably surrounded by stock footage of planes crashing.
Right.
Well, let's talk about probably the one part of the movie that a modern audience not necessarily would have problems with, but might have pause for.
Give them concern.
Yeah, which is the jive talkers who've already been introduced in the early section of the movie. You see them.
Does this grain against you when you watch it today?
No,
Me either.
it doesn't. So what I think about it watching it in 2025 is it definitely feels close to the bone. I definitely think I don't think we would do it this way now. Actually, less this section, more the later section with the kind of minstrelry element. I don't think we would have now.
Mm.
But I literally think this about any joke, whatever it's about. You can read the intent.
Yeah.
And the intent is not bigoted.
Correct.
And it's the opposite of that. They're parodying the treatment of, and everyone's in on the joke as well. Like you find out these two actors, they came in, they knew exactly what they were.
Not just
going
that,
for.
they weren't just part of the joke. They were given
wrote our own
control.
language. Yeah,
they were given control over the joke. The directors all said, "Listen, I don't know what to do. So can you guys?"
They told them the idea.
They told them the idea and said, "I want you to write the dialogue."
Yeah.
And they gave, I don't know which one it was, but they, like, one of them took control and, like, literally went to the library and got books on linguistics.
Yeah.
And ended up writing all the dialogue for them and for Barbara Billingsley, which is the most brilliant stroke of casting because it's Leave It to Beaver's mom.
Mm-hmm.
And so bringing that aspect into it, to me, and just, again, because you know what's amazing about it, too, is because it's not just verbal comedy, it's also sight comedy, because you have the goddamn...
The subtitles.
Subtitles.
But that's the point of the joke, is the idea it's about the anthropomorphizing of people of color on screen. You know, and I think this relates to examples beyond this. It's like, you know, there was a movie made by the British film director Ken Loach made about, I don't know, like 15, 20 years ago called Sweet 16. And it was set in Glasgow, Scotland, and the first 15 minutes of the movie are subtitled. And the idea was that, you know, people couldn't understand the Glasgow dialect, and you give them 15 minutes for their ears to adjust.
Yeah.
And it's like essentially like treating them as animals in the jungle at that point.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point here. Is sort of like it's white people's misunderstanding of like jive, thinking jive is
Yes, right.
like a subcultural
Right.
dialect as opposed to kind of like slang, or, you know, like so that's the joke is the sort of the misunderstanding.
It's two levels of joke, because there's the blanketing, for one,
Yeah.
that it's all African Americans. And then on the second part of it, it's that it's a whole other language.
Yeah. And different from whatever jive talk is, which itself is a construct. It's the idea is like we're almost sending up white people's misperceptions.
Misperception, exactly.
Of what jive talk is, and how, you know, basically, you know, how the cinema or culture still treats people of color as kind of exotic animals.
Yes.
And the reason why I'm so confident saying this is partly because they double down on this later on in the movie when we get to the Peace Corps stuff. Like it follows the same track of logic. If this is not an isolated example. The movie's interested in that topic, and to me, it feels the same. It's like Blazing Saddles. It's near the knuckle comedy for sure.
Well, it's not as biting, obviously, as the satire of Blazing Saddles, but
in a way, I think it is. I think it is.
I just mean it's not as in your face because you're not going to hear the N-word.
No, but I think intellectually it's as interesting, and I also think there's there is a safety about projecting that discourse back into the 19th century. And I think this movie is in some ways braver because it's like, look,
that's what I think.
These are this is contemporary society we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you're afraid of these, if you're afraid of these people who live among you, there's something wrong with your outlook, right?
Yeah.
These beautifully suited, coiffed,
yes, exactly right,
people. If you can sort of twist them into being something different and other, it's what
Mm-hmm.
Cosby will go on to do in the next decade, where he'll be sort of like, like literally, what are you afraid of? This is like any other family in America,
right?
White people, what are you you should be afraid of me and my medicine that I'm gonna pour into your,
be more
mouth.
afraid of the cocktail I'm going to give you. But you know what?
Don't drink that.
You know what it reminded me of? I literally I was in an ice cream shop yesterday, and it was clearly run by Philadelphia people because there's Philadelphia shit all over the place. And then there's this little box that says Philadelphia slang or something like that, and it says "Go Birds," but birds is spelled B-E-R-D-S. Go Birds. And it says, in Philadelphia, used for hello, goodbye, thank you, have a nice day, and anything else you can basically think of. And this kind of thing reminds me of that.
Totally, yeah. They basically, and what they're doing as comic writers, these two guys, is to kind of like extrapolate slang into like, a
whole language. Yeah.
A whole language. They're doing what James Doohan did with Klingon.
Yeah. Right.
For very different purposes, although arguably is laughable. But this is but to make it as funny as possible. So I think even though we would do it differently now and we'd have different concerns, it absolutely stands up. The joke stands up.
I agree. Glad to hear you say that. I was hoping I wouldn't be alone.
No, and I think this comes up again and again, understanding the intent of the joke.
Yeah.
Understanding the person who's saying the joke, who the joke is about or at the expense of. That's what really matters about this stuff. It's not about the content necessarily. It's about where the comedy is aimed.
Yeah.
I think. This is the whole thing about, they took a scene out of Fawlty Towers when they played it on British TV a few years ago, probably several years ago now, where like the major, the old doddering colonial who lives in the hotel, was kind of making racist comments about Indian people, and I'm like, you don't lose that dimension. I mean, that's the whole point of the character. He's this colonial relic in this crumbling fucking hotel.
Hotel, right? Yeah.
That's the whole point. And it's just sometimes you have to think around it, around what you're actually seeing. And,
yeah.
And I think this is one of those
and
occasions.
its purpose.
Yeah, and if this was, we've both seen Airplane 2. If there was like a shitty joke that didn't work and was dated, we'd call it out, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
But this is not a shitty joke, and I don't think it's dated. Except it was trying to comment on something that was happening in culture at the time. So it's not it's dated in that sense, but you know, it's more relevant. It was more relevant at the time than most movies were. So anyway.
Sure.
I mean, all the something I really was drawn to the performance of the main blonde flight attendant this time.
Oh, I've been drawn to
She's
her
so good.
performance
She's so
since day one of watching this movie.
I just never noticed how credible she was.
She's
But
amazing in this movie.
when she's and it's even just something as simple as when she's welcoming people onto the plane. I'm like,
Yeah.
this really looks like a flight attendant,
like a
welcoming
real like a real stewardess just saying hello.
And when you start at that level, there's no way you can't go comedically.
Yeah.
I mean that, you know, obviously and they seed it so well with the sick girl getting on board and them introducing to each other. It's having fun at the expense of the melodrama of movies and
It's Captain Stubing's daughter.
Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, that cutting through that inevitable schmaltz that comes with a lot of American movies, and the cliches of, you know, treating disabled people differently. You know, it comments on ableism again, like decades before people were kind of insisted upon it being called out.
Sure.
So, and then of course the just beautifully crafted the production design is extraordinary with the fake train station with the GI and the
that's great,
and the ticket collector with the stopwatch. And
you really need to get on, sir.
And again, like, you know, movie melodrama and how it works. I just think, you know, taking this idea of this kind of disparity of, like, you can't. I mean, back then you could board a plane a lot easily than we can now.
Yeah.
It does feel like back then you could just kind of walk on off the street in a way you
yeah.
can't.
Well, think about it. Back then, you were never above the pavement.
Right. But the joke here is that, you know, it's a different kind of it is still a different kind of travel. You can't just kind of get on while it's in motion.
Yeah.
And I just love that they turn that into this literally, again, like, running scene of following after it and knocking over the
whatever
post,
it is, the
yeah.
towers, yeah. And then we get to Stryker's first story.
Well,
that's gonna bore someone enough to hang themselves.
And, you know, I suppose we can't comment on every single joke in this movie. We'd never get out of here. But the Roger scene comes right after that.
Oh, that's right.
Which is essentially...
I've been quoting that scene since I first saw this movie.
It's who's on first, right? It's a rewritten who. So I love that they're taking comedy back to the roots of vaudeville, like
Roger, huh?
Yeah.
I love the way Kareem Abdul keeps saying, huh?
Huh? And and again, like, no one is. It's what's great is, in a way, I don't want to be disparaging about Abbott and Costello because, first of all, who cares? But second of all, obviously they were amazing. But, you know, the joke of that is one of them's getting really exasperated and the other one is staying calm. That's not the joke here. The joke is something more interesting. It's like everyone is misunderstanding.
Yeah.
Actually, what they've done is they've added a third person.
Yeah, that's the part I like.
They've made it a triangle.
They made it a triangle.
And they just keep the misunderstandings going, and at no point is anyone aware of the frustration of... Like, you end with that just audio of them going into the sky still doing this routine. And I just love the idea. The idea is it's gonna keep on going, and we don't even have to see it.
Yeah. We've got clearance, Clarence. Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
And you mentioned whacking material and Modern Sperm. We've also got Boy's Life and Nun's Life, the magazines.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, everyone's reading a magazine about their character. It's just...
I love the slow play of the boy businessman and the girl business person. I love that the first time we see them, she's just walking to her seat, and he kind of puts his magazine down and, like, looks her up and down. So fucking amazing.
That's something we haven't even talked about that is amazing in this movie. How it keeps track of so many subplots.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they are, you know, in essence, they're sketches, but they do need to have connective tissue. You do need to keep keep kind of focusing in and then focusing out on the stories, and it does it so seamlessly.
Mm-hmm.
And sketch comedy movies not normally that seamless either.
Yeah, that they normally this kind of movie, when you get to, say, especially in the 2000s and on,
Yeah.
they always feel like they're just bursting at the seams and they're just barely held together.
Yeah, this doesn't feel like that at all. But I
No.
will arguably, I bet you count the the different pairings and subplots, and I bet this movie has more
Yeah, right.
than even the most ambitious comedy movie tries to do now.
Absolutely.
And just the fact that there's so, again, that dense packing of gags in the single frames of a movie. Again, that's an art form that's lost. It's like here's our canvas. What can we put in here? How many different jokes can we have going on at once? And the thing about as we go into the flashback and Ted's first story, the part that gets me, and again, the ensemble throughout this movie is perfect.
Yeah.
The lady sitting next to him, probably my favorite moment of the movie, at least on this past viewing, was the look she gives when he starts to go into his story. And again, it's not comic act. I mean, it is comic acting, but it's just straight acting.
But it's just
it's an
taken
honest
seriously.
reaction.
Yeah.
And it's twice as funny as it would be if she'd rolled her eyes up
Right,
and down.
exactly.
She just looks like, oh, I'm going to kill myself. This is... what we see later with the guy who hangs himself is basically what she's doing facially in this scene.
Yeah. And even right before he starts that story, the kind of verbal comedy we get where he looks really worried and she says, nervous? And he goes, yeah, very much so. She goes, first time? He goes, no, I've been nervous lots of times.
Yeah. I'm,
Great.
we're going to miss out a lot. Just... there's no performance in this movie that isn't the best
Good.
it can possibly be.
Yeah.
But Ted and Elaine, I think, are, every time I see this movie, I come out with a renewed appreciation because they've got
Yeah.
a lot more to do, a lot more screen time, a lot
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
drama, and they remain they're not like Zeppo Marx's.
They
They're not-
really anchor
they're
the
not-
movie. They hold...
But they're not straight men. There are no straight men in this movie, but there's nothing but straight men. I don't know how quite
exactly.
You know what I mean? Like everyone is as funny as each other. There's no dead weight in this movie at all comedically, and yet
Right.
nobody is doing comedy acting as you know it.
It's crazy.
It is crazy. So presumably you don't understand anything about this next sequence.
Why? Oh, you mean just
You
because
have-
I haven't
yeah.
seen it?
You haven't seen Saturday Night Fever, so do you?
No,
skip
I
this
still
bit?
always understood the reference. I know.
I'm kidding.
I know what movie
that.
it's
I
from.
just wanted to make fun of you for having not seen Saturday.
For-
Have you still not seen Saturday Night Fever?
Still not.
I honestly wouldn't make such a big deal of it, but I think what I thought the other day was when I realized, oh, we're going to talk about Airplane and you haven't seen Saturday Night Fever, is you don't know what Travolta is capable of if you've not seen Saturday Night Fever. Even if you think you do, you don't. No.
Okay.
It's Mean Streets with disco dancing. That's all it is.
That's all I need.
It's all anyone needs. Yeah. But again, it's kind of a 1-2 punch, isn't it? A 1-2 cultural punch, because you get to parody Saturday Night Fever and also the end of disco, right? The fact that
Well, we get that, especially
unlike
with
Harryman,
the knocking over of the antenna.
later on in the movie, yeah. Where
Later
disco
on in the
never
movie,
dies.
they knock over that antenna, and apparently audiences at that time, like, they'd have to stop screenings because
Yeah.
people were cheering so much for
It is
minutes upon minutes
Yeah.
upon minutes.
It's a funny gag. That's maybe that's the most racist dog whistle this movie gets, because there's a racial element to the whole idea of disco sucks, right? But also that's what they're sort of like, they're playing on both the anachronism of Saturday Night Fever was like 3 years before.
Yeah.
Culturally, there's an idea that disco's come and gone. We're post disco duck at this point.
Yeah.
Where the rot was supposedly set in, so it's kind of a 1-2 cultural punch of we're gonna make fun of this movie everyone knows, and we're also gonna make fun of disco at the same time. But there's some. It makes me feel like Lisa Simpson watching the jazz club. Is sort of like you've got to listen to the jokes they're not doing.
They're not doing.
Because there's so many jokes that you could do purely for the sake of having violence or titillation in this scene. And while they can give you both of those things, they never do it in a way that compromises the best joke they could come up with. So when we when we pan up from the legs of the stripper and she's playing the trumpet, that could have been, they could have focused on something else that would have just been for the guys and, for like the guys and the lesbians of the audience.
Yeah.
Right? But what they've done is they've gone, no, let's subvert that and do something really funny. Likewise with the Girl Scouts, right? It's like, it's important we see their panties, but nonetheless, it's really funny having them just go full throttle fighting.
I wrote down a note that those two should have received an Oscar for how great this fucking fight is.
And also, again, wrestling, right? Other kinds of entertainment they're playing with. It really, again...
Well, I think they're also hooking into that idea of catfights. And, yeah, exactly. Of men wanting to watch that. And just going, oh. Catfight.
And we've said this in several ways with different examples, but it really helps that they have the actual movie. They actually have Staying Alive by the Bee Gees.
Yes.
Again, same with Jaws, right? It's the actual John Williams strains of the Jaws theme. It's sort of like... You work on the principle of straight with a twist.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual execution is completely straight. The twist is context.
Yeah, sure.
And it be happening in this...
My favorite thing in the whole scene, though...
In this dive bar, in the saloon.
I always wonder, by the way, what's Elaine doing in this bar?
And she comes in full disco outfit as well.
Exactly.
That's what's great about that.
But my favorite thing in this scene has always been sound cues. The Looney Tunes sound cues of throwing his cap away, his coat away, the diving board sound when she flips him into the basement, and then my favorite thing ever is that fucking pistol sound when he points his arm up in the air and gives his John Travolta pose.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things in this entire movie. It never fails to make me laugh.
This movie, and I also noticed it in it's self-evident in this movie. I also noticed it a lot in Naked Gun. I mean, the Foley work in these movies, it's like asking someone to do a Three Stooges short for 90 minutes of screen time. I mean, that's just a mammoth task, I think. I always forget that, like, we don't do the... Like, this is just part of the flashback. We come back to real time at this point. And it's just, like, I don't know if that's sending up something that happens in Zero Hour, but I expect it is, because I don't think they would have made that choice in their storytelling. I think they're lampooning clunky in and out of flashback storytelling with the kind of wobbly screen. Going back to the kids...
I also love, there's something that I can't remember consciously ever getting this joke before, but I can't believe I never noticed it. When they're on top of each other, when he's on top of her in the water, and he says, I'm shipping out tomorrow or whatever. We're going to bomb this Japanese or whatever it is. We're going to drop bombs on this island at 8 a.m. at this time at this place. And she says, when are you coming back? And he goes, I can't tell you that. That's classified.
So good. I mean, again, I think that From Here to Eternity parody, I think I said this when we did the Naked Guns or even the Hot Shots. The ability to reach back into the golden age of Hollywood is what distinguishes their parody. They don't take the low... I mean, they do take the low-hanging fruit of what just happened in cinema, like Jaws and Saturday Night Fever, but they match that with... They can pull from movies from the 40s.
They can go back.
They can go back if they want to. Or just comedy in general, like they do with Who's on First. The kids, the kids playing adults scene, which is the part of the movie where I'm keenly reminded, oh, this is a PG movie.
Oh yeah,
they want something for the kids. So suddenly the movie for like 20 seconds becomes a Charlie Brown cartoon mixed with a Little Rascal short. You're just like, whoa! Where did this go?
The coffee.
I mean, it's beautifully done. And it's like Peanuts at its best, right? The idea of kids portraying acting like adults.
Like adults, yeah. What I like about it too, because I noticed this happens a couple of times. I guess it happens throughout, but I notice it especially with the kid in the cockpit in this moment, because when he says cream, she says, "No, I take it black like my men." They leave the camera on his face for like the perfect amount of time. It's like a solid 3 to 4 seconds of him just staring at her. And it's the same thing when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar pushes the kid away and it's like telling him, that his dad should shut up. It's like they keep the camera on that kid's face, being surprised he just got shoved by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar before Peter Graves is like, "You ever been in a Turkish prison?"
The scene that the moment in that scene that really gets me is how she's holding a coffee cup.
Yeah.
It's like that adult behavior.
Yes.
Adult gestures.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about the Wire and Stand By Me and Boys in the Hood. This is up there with the best of kid acting.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, there's never been as two finely observed performances in a mainstream movie as these two guys.
Agreed.
Yeah, the kid, as you saying, the kid recognizes Clarence. We've got sports-specific jokes that give the movie a wider audience, but don't alienate the non-sports fans. The jokes still work if you don't know the context of them. About him, about him not
tell your dad to drag Lampier, or no, not to drag Walton and Lanier up and down the court for 60 minutes.
And you can imagine
48 minutes.
You can imagine the if you did know what they were talking about, the reaction to that in the theater would just be insane.
Howling.
Yeah. And we go back into flashback, and this is where going back to the golden age of Hollywood, this scene is just almost a shot-for-shot recreation of Fred Zimmerman's The Men.
Oh, okay.
With Marlon Brando, which is all set in like a veterans hospital. Marlon Brando and I think Jack Webb are in that.
I haven't seen that.
But it's great, but because they're doing comedy in the early 1980s, they get to talk about sitting on his face and stuff you wouldn't get away with in movies in the 50s.
Fucking so funny when she said that. Sit on your face and wriggle.
Yeah. It's just like that. And again, something
but
that I
still
noticed,
with the same sweetness and earnestness,
And there's moments in this movie where I was like, I'm so glad that, and I don't often think this about comedians, but I'm so glad these guys are as young as they are.
Yeah.
Because they find jokes and references that if it was even like 5-10 years later, they wouldn't have. The filmmakers just wouldn't have. And this to me is this kind of like feeling confident to put a sitting in your face joke in a movie. It's like that's the confidence of youth right there, and
right.
And the sexual liberation that they've gone through.
Yeah.
I keep saying this is the best part of the movie, but I really do think in a sort of fight to the death, Ethel Merman is
amazing.
This movie again. What I love about this movie is the internal logic of the comedy. The more real it is, the funnier it is. That works for every joke in this movie. And the fact, if you don't have Ethel Merman, the actual Ethel Merman, this joke, you don't do it.
It's not as funny, yeah.
You don't do it. If it was even an Ethel Merman impersonator, it has to literally be Ethel Merman. And they have to literally syringe her and knock her out and go back into the bed.
She stops singing because she hops out of bed. When she hops out of bed, you'll be swell, you'll be great.
Yeah. You don't need
I always remembered it as her belting everything's come, but that's where she's going down because she's getting drunk. Everything.
And something they invent in this movie, which has been cannibalized by so many people, notably Seth MacFarlane, is the kind of art of cutaway comedy, right?
Yeah.
So he thinks he's Ethel Merman. you go to you cut
Right.
away to Ethel Merman performing the scene in
Stryker's
the hospital bed.
painting.
Yeah.
And you cut away
do it
to
again
the
and again.
model. Yeah.
To the model, exactly. Yeah, later on with the instruments, and it's a whole new language of comedy that they're playing with here. So it's just fabulous. You never have to ask whether the people who are not comedians who are in this movie are in on the joke. It's
Right.
self-evident. Ethel Merman performs that knowing exactly what the joke
Absolutely,
is and
yes.
how to do it. And you never have that lack of security about any performer in this movie at all.
Mm-hmm.
And also something that, again, puts, not that it needs to be put above the level it's at, but where it becomes sort of transcendent to me is that there are jokes that I can kind of break down and explain why they're funny. And then there are
Yeah.
other jokes which I don't know if I understand why they're funny, except I know they're funny.
But you
And
just know it.
And to me, the key joke in this movie that I don't know why it is funny, but it's truly great for some reason. Jim never has a second cup of coffee at home.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if this is a reference to some
So you don't know
commercial
that?
or
Okay.
PSA.
I'm old enough.
Oh, is it
yeah,
really?
it's a reference to a commercial.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, so honestly, this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. I had no idea. I suppose that's a good acid test as to great comedy, right? You don't actually have to know the reference.
Yeah, well, that's the
But-
thing. So that's what's funny about
Jim
it, though,
never has a
right?
second cup of coffee.
Because-
what's the reference first of all that I'm missing?
So it's just I can't remember if it was Folgers or Sanka,
okay,
but it was like
yeah.
an instant coffee commercial.
Yeah, I thought it might be. I
And
suspect
the
it was.
idea was that the coffee's so good that he'd have a second cup, basically.
Except she's thinking that he's having an affair.
Yeah,
or, like,
exactly.
he's-
But that's what's funny about the way they do it is that what I love about the fact that you're bringing this up is that when you put cultural references into your movie, usually that means they only have a very short shelf life, that joke. But that joke stands the test of time for you because you know that there's something to it, even if you don't know.
I had no idea why.
why.
I had no idea
Yeah.
why, but every time I think this is a perfectly executed gag. I couldn't explain it to you why this is funny.
But it's still, that's what I like about it, is that it still comes across as funny, even if you don't know the reference. That's great.
that is great. And then we go into a musical number,
Yeah.
which again, I mean, you can't say you don't get your entertainment
Value.
dollars
Yeah.
worth here.
And
This is- I mean, this is-
the whole bit of everybody smiling.
Martin from V, this is where I really noticed
So
his,
good.
he's the only other time anyone looks in a camera that I
Yeah.
saw in the movie is Martin from V.
Maybe the guy who hangs upside down.
Yeah,
He's close, but I don't know that he's actually
He's-
looking down the barrel.
but I don't think it's a looking down the barrel joke. Most is a like everyone is watching from every
Yeah.
angle is the joke. Well, but I mean, again, an understanding of how musical numbers work in movies, right? That they're there to provide a utopian break,
Mhm.
a kind of an entertainment segment in the middle of the movie, and they subvert that by having her nearly or possibly
Die.
completely killing a young girl who didn't otherwise need to die because of a big swinging guitar. Amazing.
What I like about it too is because she knocks out the IV twice.
Mhm.
And the little girl has to get it and put it back in the first time. The mother also doesn't notice until the second time it happens.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
great.
And it's just like, again, I think it's a weird thing to say, but I think that teenage girl could have overplayed that,
Yeah.
and she doesn't.
Right.
And I know you're like, how could she have like played it bigger? But in a
Right.
sense, I'm watching it, and there's a realism about it, even because like when they cut to her face, she's
Sucking in her cheeks.
cheeks. I was just like, that's actually quite a raw image to throw in here. That's like, it's not. I mean, it's a close up, but it's not mugging to camera. That's
Right.
like, I'm dying. I'm nearly dead.
Well, coming up is one of my also favorite small jokes, kind of like the Elaine's no to the donating money earlier, because I love it when Sandy, is it Sandy that's the No, Randy is who I mean. When Randy comes up and says, "Excuse me, are you a doctor?" And Leslie Nielsen says, "That's right."
Never funnier.
Fuck, it's so good with this stethoscope.
This is the Leslie Nielsen's first shot as a comic actor in any movie, and he's never funnier again. Literally, I mean, breaking down that joke, you've got the stewardess leans in and she sort of says, "I'm sorry to wake you, but are you a doctor?" Yeah. And it hard cut to him, wide awake, with a stethoscope. It doesn't get better than that. And again, like, this is before he's kind of learned kind of bad habits of mugging to camera, so it's completely deadpan, right? It's the Leslie Nielsen from Forbidden Planet look.
Yeah, right.
It's just fun. I mean, that introduction is the arguably the best cut.
So
shot
fucking funny.
I've got tons of stuff in between, unfortunately.
Because we have the basketball, we have the Peace Corps.
The Peace Corps, right. Yeah, where they.
Well, we got to take another break, I think.
Okay.
I fear this might be a 4-parter now. I didn't think that was going to happen. There's too many jokes. Well, it's too fucking joke heavy for us to get through this quickly.
What we're doing is we're reading through an instruction manual. We're not watching a movie. That's the difference. We're building a flat pack.
Let me
of comedy.
Tell you this just shortly before we go to break. I can't say for sure that this is going to be good, but we're also just in the wake of a new Naked Gun movie being released. Not at that movie, but some other movie I went to. I just saw a preview for a movie. I hope I'm remembering this right, because it honestly took me a second to realize I was watching the preview of a comedy like this. And it's a comedy of a film noir, I think. Or like Bridgerton kind of.
Oh.
So, and I can't remember the title. I was so flabbergasted by the fact that comedy's going to come back again, despite, I mean, beyond this latest Naked Gun movie. But it looks like they're taking it seriously. And I was heartened by that. But
it never went away. It just kind of became a subculture of comedy, I think. I don't know. Did you ever see Casa Mi de Padre?
No.
With Will Ferrell? Where Will Ferrell is playing it's like a Mexican Western.
Yeah.
It's a pastiche Mexican Western with Will Ferrell, who speaks not a word of Spanish, doing phonetic Spanish throughout the entire movie. And again, there's that amazing Lifetime pastiche movie that Will Ferrell.
Oh yeah, that he did with Kristen Wiig.
Kristen Wiig is which they showed on Lifetime in the Lifetime movie slot, to the point where it kind of became a real Lifetime movie. So
all right,
I mean it's always there for the taking, but it became unfashionable.
All right, we'll take a quick break and come back to discuss more about Airplane right after this.
Yep.
And we're back. Tom and I are here discussing Airplane! The movie the 1980 movie, directed by Abrams and the Zuckers.
Speaking of 1980, there's a Reagan joke in here.
There is.
Which is a really clever Reagan joke, and I think the opposite is true of Airplane 2, where all they're taking aim at is what a terrible actor he is in terrible movies. Yeah. So it's got nothing to do with his politics. Mm-hmm. I think in Airplane 2 it's about him having dementia, which is kind of makes you think, did they have information?
Inside information?
In 1982?
82 is early.
But that's a good, clearly I assume the people involved in this movie would not want to see Reagan as president, but rather than do political satire. They just
I haven't
they,
felt
they,
this sick since that Ronald Reagan movie. Yeah.
Yeah, they just want
They
to
take
remind
aim,
everyone
but
that
in a different way.
we're sort of, our president is a B movie
He was-
actor. Boy, those were the days
Right?
when that was their only issue.
All right, well, how deep do you
Well-
want to go into the Peace Corps?
Not that deep. We haven't talked at all about the cockpit scene, have we?
Yeah, we've talked.
About the Peter Graves in the Turkish prison? I mean,
We've been mentioning
is
it.
Okay, all right. I mean,
Because the movie
it's
peppers back
self-evident.
and forth, but
Yeah, there's nothing quite like hearing Peter Graves do that dialogue. To this day,
it still makes me laugh.
it's my favorite. His is my favorite performance in the film.
Really?
Because he, and what you're saying about behind the scenes might have something to do with this, but his level of unawareness is
It's sublime.
beyond even the other actors. Like, I suppose it's not like it's uncomfortable. I think he's just too good a straight actor. He's too solid to not give a completely solid performance whatever he's doing.
You know what?
But
One of
he's complete. I mean, his face looks completely oblivious of the joke.
yes, but that's
And I don't think
also
even
why it
Neil
doesn't
even-
come across as offensive to me.
It's not. I don't think it's offensive. He's just a perv, right? I mean,
Yeah, but it's like-
they're tracking it throughout the entire
Yeah.
movie.
They're tracking it throughout the entire movie, but it's not like he's trying to ensnare this child. It's more like he.
Oh, the
just-
pedophilia thing.
Yeah, it's
I
more
guess
like
so.
he has a genuine curiosity.
But it's about, it's a joke about appropriate conversation, right?
Mhm.
It's about the rules of small talk,
Right.
Specifically with children, and
breaking
breaking
them.
those
Right.
small talk, those small talk rules. And it reminds me of my favorite Monty Python sketch of all time, which is Michael Palin and John Cleese. John Cleese is a police officer.
I'm not sure we have time
Michael
for
Palin-
these fucking tangents.
Michael Palin comes up to her in the middle of the street, says, "A man just took my wallet in the middle of the street." It's like, "Oh, did you see where he went?" It's like, "No." It's like, "Well, I don't think there's anything we can do." And then there's this pause, and then Michael Palin says, "Do you want to come back to my place?" John Cleese, the police.
I remember that one. Yeah, I remember that one.
And I had the same feeling here. It's like there's a moment in the conversation where it takes a turn. And that's
What I
just
like
love-
about it, because
wow.
I think it's this moment where he says, "Have you ever been in a Turkish prison?" But I think it's that one where he's not even looking at the kid.
Yeah.
He says, "You ever been in a Turkish prison?" And he looks off kind of wistfully at the time he was in a Turkish prison.
Peter Graves, he doesn't know how to not give a good performance.
Fucking
I think that's
Christ, it's so funny.
it's also like it makes me think that this is like the mystery. It's its own Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Yeah, right.
Like, there's probably a scene in 0 Hour where you get the first part of that scene,
Mhm.
and they kind of just their comment as the audience is saying, "Wouldn't it be funny if
Yeah.
this was said at this moment?" And they totally engendered that. Mystery Science Theater 3000 it wouldn't be anything without it.
Sure.
Okay, well, drinking problem. What I want to say, the Peace Corps drinking problem.
Yeah.
The confidence to start a running joke nearly halfway through the movie. I mean, there's nothing off limits to this group of filmmakers. This movie will not rest on its laurels.
No.
We're gonna have a running joke that's just in the second half of the movie. Yeah, the Peace Corps. I mean, obviously I would make the same point as I did for the Jive Talk scene.
Because I think this is one makes people more uncomfortable than the Jive Talk. But like you, I think they're making the same joke.
They're making the same joke. I do think it's less successful because there are still some racist assumptions underpinning the scene in a way I don't think there are with the Jive Talk scene. But the intention is clearly parodying the infantile representation of people from third world tribes of color. So,
And I didn't remember the
I-
Tupperware conversation. It's really funny.
Julie Haggerty, so
She's
funny.
really good.
Well, and also in the middle of this, we've got the Japanese soldier as well.
James
I mean,
Hong.
That's James Hong. I mean, that's arguably the most offensive.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
I was gonna say.
That's more offensive than what they do with the tribe. I mean, the fact that it's James Hong and he's sort of playing it as a regular passenger just happens to be
In his uniform with his sword.
World War II Japanese soldier. So anyway, drinking problem, the jungle sound effects as well.
Mm-hmm.
That Paramount sound, that Paramount stock library of sound effects, you get it in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and then again in Naked Gun. Well, then because we already mentioned Nielsen's first entrance, but
When he talks to
immediately-
Graves, that's one of my favorite exchanges.
I had the same thing. I was like, this is the perfect double act comprised only of straight men,
yeah.
and B-movie actors.
So good.
I've never wanted to see I was just like, actually, maybe double acts you could just be completely just the same guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it would still work. It's still funny.
When are we gonna? When can you land this plane? I can't tell you that. You can tell me. I'm a doctor.
It's like they're both trying to out deadpan the other.
Not for 2 hours. You can't tell me for 2 hours.
I have a theory about why. Yeah, I mean, there's self-evident reasons why you would pick these actors because they've done the kind of movies that they're parodying.
Yeah.
But I think it's also because they must have built up a resistance to bad dialogue where they're not gonna crack.
Yeah. Right.
Like they're not gonna break when they do these funny lines because they spent a lifetime doing dialogue this bad or worse in the movies that they've been in. The egg trick is another classic moment in the movie. I once attended a lecture that used this as one of the key examples of the art of comic acting. And the point that was being made is that, like, the other dimension of comic acting is telling the audience what you're about to do before you do it. So it was this, Jerry Lewis knocking over a bunch of glass vases in The Nutty Professor, and Dustin Hoffman.
We'll get that in the next film too.
Yeah, but you know, the whole idea is like they actually want to show you that he's got
the egg. Yeah.
And he's not doing the magic trick well.
Right.
The audience is being let in on the.
You know what he does do well though? The physical comedy. It always gets me when he cracks the egg and the bird flies away.
The bird flies away.
He has this kind of karate chop thing he does with his hands where they come up like this, and he looks around. And it's such a small thing, but like the way he does that. It's physical comedy genius to me. It's so good.
And then I think one of the most pitch-perfect parodies of the movie is the scene where they start to talk about the fish.
And Peter
people had
Graves
for dinner.
is
Because
the symptoms,
it's
symptoms
just,
of the illness.
But it's perfect. It's just like it's the pitch-perfect parody of how long it takes professionals in movies to figure out the answers to very simple questions.
Right.
He also had the fish. You
Yeah.
know, like they're counting it up as like there's a pattern emerging, and they still keep going, and it's just like, yeah, this is what it's like watching badly plotted movies. These people are all professionals. They're all like college-educated people, and they can't figure this out.
I love that Peter Graves looks down at his meal plate and the bones of the fish.
I was just going to say, there's what I describe as a Heathcliff fish skeleton on his plate. And I love it, because that's like, again, that was how you would do it in Looney Tunes, right? But what I never remember, and I'm always flabbergasted by, is how well Peter Graves performs the physical comedy he has to do after as well.
Amazing.
Where, you know, Nielsen's described the symptoms.
The twitching.
And he's got all these
the
twitching and the fart sound effects, and it just brings a real dignity to it that makes it funnier.
The drooling.
Speaking of dignity, I've heard many commentators say that this was their coming of age pair of tits.
Yeah.
Because this was a PG movie, and we have
a surprise pair of titties.
A surprise pair of tits, and was it your first screen tits?
I remember.
Probably mine.
I have to look up when Under the Rainbow came out.
Midget tits?
No, but they're all running around backstage somewhere, and I remember there's tits and there's dancers or something backstage.
Oh, okay.
And so not midget tits, as you so eloquently put it, but
we're all thinking the same thing. I mean, I'll take the bullet for you and everyone listening and say midget tits. I should have said munchkin tits. That would be less offensive. But hey ho, it's the damage has been done.
But it's funny, because not only do you get the actual naked tits, but watching Elaine, watching Haggerty give a blowjob to Otto, essentially.
Yeah.
And when Leslie Nielsen walks in, and the actual Otto is expanding as she breathes in, looking like he's breathing. Fuck.
I think what I like about this film is obviously it's an early 80s movie with sex comedy in it.
Yeah.
But it's kind of got a grip on its own level of titillation and how far it's willing to go. There always has to be something else. Like the fact that the tits just appearing is kind of a parody of exploitation cinema and how it uses nudity. Like inappropriate. It's literally gratuitous
sure.
nudity. I mean, that's the point of it suddenly appearing and then disappearing. And then, same with the automatic pilot, it's like pure schoolboy humor. Yeah. But I also
I like the button they have on it though, where they're both smoking.
Okay, the cigarette.
And she gives them that look.
The thing that struck me this time, going with the kind of sports metaphor, is the automatic pilot is Otto is kind of like the mascot for the movie. Almost, he kind of plays that role in the movie. It's kind of and I just kind of there's a lot in this movie that you can break down on an intellectual level, but I like that it's just an entirely dumb dimension of comedy. It's I think I can't remember what movie we were talking about, but it talked about how sex doll comedy is the lowest form of comedy.
It feels like one of the Pink Panther movies at the end when he's got
the Ted
Wass one.
But this movie this movie shows off its versatility by having being able to have this go from high to low and back again.
Otto gets a lot of play. He's gripping her tits at one point. He keeps being dragged in and out of pilot seats, having to fly the plane.
And also, it's the design of the dummy as well. There's something inherently and yet not entirely explainably funny about the face.
Yes, agreed.
It's kind of I don't know if it's kind of because it's so phallic looking. I don't know what it is, but and he's got the kind of the paddle hands.
Yeah,
as well.
that's true. Yeah.
But anyway,
I love it. After
it's for the kid, I think it weirdly, even though it's about blowjobs, I think it's for the kids as well.
Maybe
if you were duped, if you were a parent who'd been duped into taking your kid to see this movie or watching it on I don't know, cable or something, you'd be the kid would probably be oh yeah, the automatic pilot, and he's flying around and all that sort of stuff, and then what happened next, Dad?
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about the rest of it. He was getting reinflated. Let's leave it there.
Did you notice this? Because it was sort of a repeated joke with Haggerty's no. I love it because right after that scene, Nielsen comes back in as the doctor and he says, "Can you face some unpleasant facts?" And she just says, "No." And he just barrels straight through and starts telling her all the unpleasant facts about how everybody that's had fish is going to be violently ill and possibly their lives are in danger, and we need a pilot.
We also get during the kind of blowjob shenanigans when Nielsen goes into the cockpit, doesn't he say "excuse me" and then leaves? He does a quizzical look And it's probably the first time he's ever done it. I'm like, he's gonna ride this look into the ground for fucking years to come.
Yeah.
This is the rest of his. This is the look he's gonna give in the rest of his career, and he probably doesn't know it at this point. That this is gonna define him for the rest of his life.
Sounds like that look's bothering you.
No, that look, no, not at all. I just
Okay.
mean like, it's just a moment.
Because that's the look that he predominantly wears in Naked Gun films, and
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, we'll get there in our next episode.
It's
But
like the first
I like
time
that
Urkel-
look.
The first time Urkel ever says, "Did I do that?" Right?
Sure.
The fish line, as we know, is taken verbatim from 0 Hour in all its clunkily constructed glory. So it's basically when pastiche is just a recital.
Yeah.
They're just reading the movie at this point. I mean, this is where we gradually introduce the ground crew.
I had that note that I couldn't believe it. We are halfway through the movie before we get to the ground crew and get to the control tower.
Yeah, Lloyd Bridge is on the ground, and they're calling in Rex Kramer, and they get a lot of comic mileage out of waking up Rex Kramer and taking him to the
That kid
airport.
attacked by the friendliest dog in the history of the world.
Yeah, full comedic use of the frame, because at the same time, in that same shot,
He crawls out of the
you're
mirror.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He walks out of his own like in a callback to Duck Soup. It's just, yeah. I mean, they get it all out of there, and back projection as well. The back projection fun.
So
that you
good.
see again,
Really funny.
in taken to new extremes in the Naked Gun.
I like it. I like it
series.
the most before the cowboys and the Indians show up with the high-speed chase that's going on behind them. That's really funny.
There's an amazing bit of real-time humor when Ted is still telling his stories, and there's like a Sikh guy next to him.
Yeah.
At this point,
It looks like a white man
and-
suspiciously in brown face.
it does. But and then he he holds up a match, and he covers himself in gasoline, and he's about to set himself on fire, and then the stewardess comes over to ask Ted to come and take over the plane. And I was kind of tracking it. Basically, the timing of this joke depends on them completing their exchanges before the match burns this guy's hand.
Yeah.
I was just like, the comedy, not just at the level of it's not just
They knew how long a stick to get.
Yeah, I mean, it's so it takes guts to film that all in one take.
Yeah.
And given that they do, everything has to go like clockwork, and it absolutely does. I love the tracking shot of the dials
Oh, me too.
on the, and it's actually it reminds me like how much hard work there is behind telling a simple joke, because you've got to build all
You have to
that,
build it, and all that.
and none of it can be repeated.
Like the line before that is,
You can't Scooby-Doo.
Right.
You can't Scooby-Doo background it. You've got to
Yeah.
keep building it for the joke to work.
because he says you're the only chance we've got, and then you have the music cue as well, as it's panning over this incredibly long panel, and it's a pretty fantastic and amazing joke
Yeah.
that you, like you said, you have to build the whole thing to make the joke work.
Yeah, just for like 10 seconds
And then
of
we
screen
go
time,
back to the taxi.
and a laugh you don't need,
Yeah, right.
but really.
But
want,
right after that,
and
we
want
go
to
back
do
to the
well.
taxi, and the guy's just sitting in there fucking waiting.
Jokes you totally forgot
Yep.
about as well. Like this. I think the art of good film comedy is to kind of like timeline it.
Yeah.
Right. The sort of like you've got a pacing, timing. Yeah, and the other member of the ground crew we meet is it Johnny?
Yeah,
Is that his
Johnny.
name? Who is he's the only clown in the movie.
Yeah, Steven Stucker.
Not every actor in every scene can be playing it to the hilts, but he can. He can do it all for the movie.
Yeah,
And it's funny stuff,
And
the
it's great.
material's good as well.
he doesn't miss a beat.
And I kind of wonder, he doesn't miss a beat. I sort of wonder because the character is kind of coded as gay.
Mhm.
Like, I wonder how the gay community kind of feels about it. As an outsider, I would say that he's just the fact that he's so present and involved and unapologetically gay,
Right.
has got to be a good thing for the community. I don't know if people retrospectively find it offensive now, but that he's kind of a caricature, but it's visibility.
Well,
you
no,
know, as well.
is it Stryker's wife or no? Yes. Whose wife? No.
Yeah, Stryker's wife.
No, I think it's Graves' wife.
Sorry, Graves.
shows
yes.
up.
Kramer's wife.
Look.
It's Kramer's wife, I think, isn't it?
No, she never comes in. It's definitely
There's
Graves'
a
wife.
lot of wives in this.
Graves'
it-
wife is sleeping with
Kramer's
the horse.
Wife sleeping with the How silly of me to get them confused.
But when he looks down, he's like, "Where did you get that dress and those shoes? It's the worst." It's very funny.
Yeah, Rex Kramer's fights in the airport are magnificent.
Amazing.
He like the way that Stack, and again, I don't think we knew this in 1980. Like, how do we know that? Well, first of all, my question is, how do they know? How did they see the potential in these actors?
Yeah, right.
For such comedy, because he's like he does some like genuinely badass stuff, and he's funny with it. And he keeps switching back and forth, like obviously the concept of the scene is all these people are trying to like talk to him about their religions, and he's kind of dispensing them with various different martial arts or fight moves. But it's him, like, you're sort of watching it, he's going, this is kind of cool too.
Yeah.
This is actually kind of cool to watch Robert Stack take apart an airport.
He does some stunt work where he flips over one guy and then flips him back over. The guy he flipped over, he flips him back over his back. Because it's all done in one shot. I mean, it's...
I was just going to say, it's all done in one shot. Like, that's kind of interesting, because that... Realizing that now makes me realize a lot about the recent Naked Gun reboot. Like, comedy of action is something that has to be done very carefully. Anyway,
we're not there yet.
No Frills Airlines.
Mm-hmm.
It's so scary that this fucking 40-year-old film, any jokes about air travel are just as relevant now, if not more so.
Sure.
I mean, shitty airlines are the bread and butter of air travel now.
Yeah.
Even more so than they were in 1980.
Sure.
Where we're sort of just out of the heyday of air travel, where, had a glamour. And you can still see remnants of that glamour. These people are fucking eating steak and fish.
I know, I noticed that. I remember thinking to myself, boy, people don't get meals anymore.
And you see commercials for like luxury airline travel now. It's like, ooh, they gave me a cocktail in a can.
Yeah,
What luxury?
right.
I can move my legs. I don't have deep vein thrombosis.
Second
Ooh,
pack
you're
of
spoiling
peanuts.
me. Fucking hell! Like where have we come? So they hit upon the most timeless source of observational humor that exists, which is
Did you notice there's this one moment where Kramer's on the phone with someone, and he says, "Bring him down to 24,000. No feet."
Yeah, verbal humor. We've
So
got the
good.
sunglasses bit.
Oh, that sunglass bit got me a detention. I've probably told that story before.
No, you have
No,
not.
came in
The
late.
risk of making
Came
this
in late to class and just kind of put my feet up on the table. Mrs. Ricketson was like, "What are you doing? You're being a ridiculous person. Put your feet down. Take those glasses off." I took my sunglasses off, had a smaller pair of sunglasses on underneath. She was like, "Get out of my classroom."
And then all the kids stood on the table and said, "Captain, my captain," as you were leaving. Down with homework!
Yeah.
Down with homework!
I think I told this story, at least some part of it, before, because this has all happened kind of before Christmas. I kind of got away. Like, I was supposed to go to a detention, didn't go to that. An in-school suspension, didn't go to that. A Saturday school, didn't go to that. And then it was like I was supposed to be suspended for a week, and I, like the Friday before Christmas vacation, had to go see Mr. Andruski, and he's yelling at someone. He asked me to sit down, and he says, "So you're in a bit of trouble?" I said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Let me ask you something. You believe in Santa Claus?" I said, "Yes, of course." And he goes, "All right, well then we'll forget about this. Just let me go."
Whoa.
On my way out, the girl that he just yelled at and sent off into the bleachers or the seats, she kind of went, "Oh," and he goes, "No, you don't believe in Santa Claus. You can sit there and think about it for a while."
Oh my God. That man had issues.
Amazing.
I don't know what complex that is, but it's a complex. So I want to ask you something. Sometimes clearly you can find something funny and for different reasons.
Okay.
The spear that goes into the ball.
Yeah.
That's just pure non sequitur.
Yeah, it's
comedy,
just nonsensical. Right? Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah. That's why
and the watermelon drop.
Not content with jokes that make sense. Yeah. They need to add an element of surreal humor as well. Right. It's like, we've mastered the jokes that make sense. Yep. Let's do surreal humor. I wondered whether, maybe it was like half a scene had been cut. But that seems too sloppy for this movie. It's
great too because you mentioned that they're starting running gags halfway through the movie because they also have Lloyd Bridges pick the wrong week to quit smoking, quit drinking, quit taking amphetamines and sniffing glue.
Listen, I don't have the same questions about why they thought Lloyd Bridges would be a good comic actor. I get it. I understand why they think that. I think a cursory viewing of High Noon will tell you that this guy's capable of comedy. Right. But yeah, I think it's just magnificently done. And again, like you don't quite know the exact reference, but you feel like this is something that's happened in a lot of movies.
I also like his pose when he poses in front of his own picture.
And I don't know, like they're physically similar, so maybe it's kind of clouding my judgment, but I think he's doing Kirk Douglas.
Oh, see, I had that thought too. That's so funny that you say that.
Which is, well, he might also be doing Burt Lancaster as well, because Burt Lancaster was in Airport. Mm-hmm. But it's a very Douglas-esque performance. Yeah. Remember, let's remember the reason we're doing Airplane is because we did Airplane 2, the sequel.
Yes.
Remember we talked about how the equivalent joke of the woman doing the makeup on her face in Airplane 2 was a
razor
scene from a slasher movie where a guy like fucking Martin Scorsese's The Big Shave where he's cutting himself with a razor and this just I'm just remembering how like why do you think they're one and the same?
Yeah, right.
This is a like a quaint little joke about a woman smearing.
Well, what I like about it is that it starts off as a quaint small joke, but it comes sublime when they're not focused on her, but when she's going down the little balloon ramp.
Oh yeah.
At the end of the movie and walking past the camera, that's when it's really funny.
Definitely, it is. And then again, like this movie definitely has moments where it just goes full Looney Tunes. Mm-hmm. When Leslie Nielsen is addressing the passengers and his nose starts to grow. I'm like, I mean, this is literally cartoon humor. Like, it's based on Pinocchio.
Right.
It's exactly how they would have done it in a Looney Tunes episode.
Absolutely.
And then we go back to the second segment of the jive talking scene where Barbara Billingsley comes in.
Excuse me, stewardess. I speak jive.
It's kind of again like it's sort of what this scene adds. I think is that idea of like subverting expectations and black and white worlds colliding.
Yeah.
In ways you don't expect.
Well, that's what because going back to our conversation before, because now you're adding to the joke when you have a white person and Barbara Billingsley of all people, like walking away from these two men saying things like jive ass.
We already talked about Rex. Was it Rex Kramer's wife? I've already forgotten. Sleeping with the Horse.
No, I think it's Peter Graves' wife. Yeah.
Which makes total sense given...
Because he's
she's,
in danger,
you know,
right.
Well, he's kinky. She's kinky.
She's rubbing Kramer's chest.
But it's kind of like, it reminds me of a scene from a Luis Buñuel film or something.
Yeah.
It's like kind of surrealist social commentary about the bourgeoisie or something. Like really, really strange. Did you notice who opens the microwave?
Oh, yeah.
You notice who that
Jonathan
is?
Banks.
That's Mike. Yeah, Mike Ehrmantraut.
Oh, yeah.
Movie keeps giving us these tiny snapshots of
When he
actors
says-
who continue to be prolific to this
Yeah,
day.
when he's like, he says something akin to, nope, he's still dropping. 8,000 feet, 7,000 feet, up to 13,000 feet, back down. What an asshole.
And then the instruments joke, which is more of that hard cut humor. Oh god, again, the understanding of the language of media is just immaculate in all its variations. When we go to the spinning newspapers and the round the world montage,
that's so good.
when you get the guy who's kind of playing the kind of glockenspiel instead of speaking. They have the kind of camera move where he goes to a second camera like they do in on like a news anchor does. And he plays a different wooden block with his glockenspiel to a different camera. And the Simpsons totally ripped that off in the kids' news episodes where Nelson is like doing fart armpit noises, and then he turns to another camera and does it in that camera. What do you know about this is another cultural reference I don't get. Counterpoint. Was that like Fox News?
Well, see, what I remember more than anything is Point Counterpoint on Saturday Night Live, because that's... So I don't know if there was a Point Counterpoint. I think it's in reference to something they used to do on 60 Minutes with Andy Rooney before Andy Rooney was just doing his spiel to the camera.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
I don't like how they give you long receipts anymore.
Yeah. What kind of person would need such a long receipt? What's it for? What am I gonna do with it? So I think there was like a point counterpoint thing on 60 Minutes with him. But the thing I remember is Dan Aykroyd talking to Jane Curtin on SNL when he's like, Jane, you ignorant slut. Hopping from bedpost to bedpost with more frequency than a cheap ham radio.
And wasn't there a show on CNN with Tucker Carlson that was
I think so.
A left-wing guy and a right-wing guy, and I remember...
Well, he had a show... Was it him that had a show with Alan Combs, or was that...
I don't know who Alan Combs is.
It was one of those things where whoever it was either Tucker Carlson or that other idiot, whose name is escaping me right now.
Do It Live, fucking thing sucks, that guy? Bill O'Reilly?
No, the other one. Hannity,
see?
I think it was Hannity and Combs. That's who I think it was. Because if I remember correctly, it would be Sean Hannity. Alan Combs. Like the fonts would be different. They'd have big font for Hannity and small font
and
for
he'd have
Combs.
devil horns superimposed on his, Well, anyway, I was just like, this seems to be where Fox News went eventually. This kind of
I say, let him crash.
Yeah, I mean, did Trump pretty much said the same thing about the air disasters recently, didn't he? And you got, that guy on Fox and Friends saying we got to euthanize the poor.
Mm-hmm.
You hear about that?
Yeah. Then he apologized.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I might have crossed the line.
Did he apologize by submitting himself to lethal injection? Because I think that's the only apology I'll take.
Can we talk a moment about Kramer? Because earlier in the movie, I think it's Lloyd Bridges that says, we need somebody that can bring him home. Somebody that's not going to crack under the pressure. Get me Rex Kramer. And so Kramer comes in. And then right before he talks to Stryker for the first time, Lloyd Bridges kind of comes up and sits next to him. He's like, I got to build him up. I got to give him all the confidence in the world. And he says, have you ever flown one of these planes before? And he says, no. And he goes, shit, this is a goddamn waste of time. Why don't you just fly right into Lake Michigan or whatever? Fuck.
It's like you can. There's so, you know, when you think of all the great comedy that's out there, you start to form these connections. Like I keep doing it with The Simpsons, but you know that reminds me of Bulldog in Frasier.
Yeah.
Where when he loses something, he's like, "Where is it?
Somebody stole it!"
Yes.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just wonderful. And again, I think the you know, there's jokes about taking coke and sniffing glue in these scenes, and I think older filmmakers wouldn't know to make these jokes. Or I mean, glue sniffing was like, this is very early on, because glue sniffing was still going on when I mean probably still going on now, but it was a huge problem when I was at school, I remember, and that was in like the 90s. And I remember like I'd be going to like the grocery store with my dad, and we'd pull into a darkened parking lot, and then these kids like cockroaches would just fly out with like holding like rags filled with glue, sniffing them.
Oh my god.
The shit's gonna hit the fan.
Yeah.
And then the shit hits the fan. It's like
literal jokes.
Literalizations of metaphors. Yeah. I mean, this is complex stuff.
I also, right before the shit hits the fan, Randy is talking to Leslie Nielsen, and she's kind of crying and stuff. And she says, I'm not even married, and I haven't started my life, and this and that. That woman comes up and goes, at least I have a husband. Mm-hmm. She bursts into tears again. I really like that.
I mean, the George Zip scene coming up.
Oh,
I mean,
so funny.
It feels like they sort of like, the first part is 0 hour, and then they kind of just put the rest was just one for the Gipper.
Yeah.
They just kind of like sandwiched together two kind of, and you know, the whole Americana of it with the music coming in the background. And again, like Elmer Bernstein doing that score is different from someone doing like.
Well, I think that's just the Notre Dame fight song that they start playing.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah. Da 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 da. See, coming from a non-footballing country, that to me is just a tune from Airplane.
Win one for the zipper. That's great.
How many Naked Gun has one of these moments too. How many times have you thought about the scene in this movie when you're on a plane and you're watching a movie that has a plane crash?
Oh god, so funny.
That's just great observational humor. That statistically, that's going to happen at some point. Especially now, the number of movies you can watch now, you're going to end up watching a plane crash. And I'm never not self-conscious of like, if that happens in a movie I'm watching, I look around like, guys, I'm not willing this to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I promise you. I just wanted to see this movie, and I didn't mind seeing it on a screen the size of my face.
Flotation devices, ducky flotation devices I've got.
The duck life jacket, yeah. And that's how, I mean, if she can keep a straight face through that.
She can do anything, exactly.
She's definitely I wonder if that's how they screen tested them. They were like, can you make it through, can you inflate a duck life jacket and not laugh? I wouldn't be able to. It's a tight comedy ship they've got going on here. And you get there's the kind of Keystone Cops emergency vehicles as well. And, and again, I mean...
with the fucking Dalmatian howling on top of one.
And the Air Israel joke as well, which, again, I think must have been a fairly provocative joke at the time, I would have said.
Right.
I know, they come from... American humor has a background of Jewish humor in it, where they make fun of themselves a lot. But, specifically Israel as well, right? So that's a whole nother... Yeah. That's a whole nother poking of the bear, I think.
Sure.
Going on there. We already talked about the aerial Disco Lives Forever.
Yes. Good luck, we're all counting on you.
I was just going to say, again, as a parody of duplicate shots in B movies... it never gets any better, and it's done exactly 3 times as
Right.
well.
That was my other note. Yes. Crash positions.
Oh, yeah.
Very funny.
The changing of the gates.
Yeah.
That's something that like I've seen a less of like a kind of slightly less heightened version of that in real life many times
right.
when I've been in an airport. That doesn't even feel like humor to me. That just feels like a documentary set in an airport.
Yeah, there are times where you're at an airport and they say, yes, your flight has been changed to the West Terminal. And that thing's like fucking 75 miles away.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It was like there was that time when Key and Peele and Saturday Night Live came up with the same gag about the boarding groups announcements.
Mm-hmm.
And they just got more and more niche as they went on, and unsurprisingly, Key and Peele did the better version.
Right.
But...
Did you get the, there's a moment where Stryker says he's got to land the plane now, and he picks up the CB. He says, no dice, Chicago. I really wanted him to say, no dice.
This ain't over. Yeah. Oh, and there's a great, there's a Buster Keaton level phone booth gag.
Yeah.
You know, when all the journalists
run
go
into it.
The phone booth at the same
Amazing.
time. They're just, I mean, everything is done so expertly. I love when I said, you know, Robert Stack's doing the best acting of his life.
This
Everything
fucking
he's saying into that microphone
the shit
with
he's-
nobody listening.
The shit he
That
says
monologue
at the end,
he's doing.
That monologue is some of the funniest fucking. When he's talking. Well, first of all,
Careful.
what?
If you're gonna start reading quotes, be very
Okay.
careful.
All right. Well, I was gonna say right before that, because they land the plane, and when Randy has people at the door, and she's saying, "Have a nice day. Thank you for writing whatever the airline's called."
Oh.
Really great. Oh, I lost you.
Yes.
You're back. Did you hear anything I
You
said?
were No, you were frozen like this.
You were frozen like this.
And then you went, and then suddenly, like, you know, you started speaking, and then it went right fast. Like, the airlines. That was all I got.
I was talking about Randy getting people off the plane, and she says, like in a perfect flight attendant tone, "Have a nice day. Thank you for traveling with us."
Yeah, credible to the last.
Oh, amazing.
It's a stunning performance. Yeah. Call back to the lady with the makeup, as you say. I love that the
I really want to say those lines.
Well, someone will say those lines before the end of the episode. they kind of there's one. The soundtrack permits itself one moment to kind of do parody.
Mm-hmm.
When it's because it's completely believable as just a dramatic soundtrack the whole way through, and then when Ted and Elaine are getting together at the end and kissing, they keep going up octave after octave until it's this high pitch. I mean, literally, I've seen 1940s movies about angels that are where the music is this ridiculous, but I just love that, like, high, you know, perfectly captures that high fantasy of old Hollywood style to the point where even the actors in the scene are like, maybe that's another look at the camera moment.
Do they?
Do they look at the camera?
No. Well, Otto and Otto's girlfriend pop up, so they look at them.
They go off to. When I was a kid, having never seen Airplane Tow, I always assumed that that's what the sequel would be. Just
Them.
the two of them, like a spin-off. I suppose you could do a cartoon about them, couldn't you?
Sure.
Like a droids type cartoon. Trouble again. Well, that's all my notes.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I mean, not really, but
Well, no, I've got a couple more, but they're rather credit related.
The movie keeps going and keeps being funny. Yeah. They don't waste a second of this movie. By the way, the running time of this movie is another aspect of its perfection.
Yeah, agreed.
Shouldn't be a minute shorter or longer than it is.
No argument from me.
We get
Credit
like
check me.
Recap roll call credits where you get to sort of re-experience some of the gag highlights of the movies. And help you remember some of the visual humor as well.
Right.
That's gone by, which is good.
We didn't
because
talk about it, but Haggerty's credit moment is her spit take moment. And I love that the camera stays on her when she says that George Zip died and he spits across her. It's another moment with a great moment with hands. You got his Leslie Nielsen's bird hands and her spit take hands. Perfection.
Yeah, introducing Otto as himself, I thought was great. He's kind of the mascot for the movie. It's kind of, he's like, they single him out as a kind of fan favorite. He's the sort of R2-D2 of this movie. Religious zealot number 6, Jim Abrahams.
Yes.
I love that they're using the credits to poke fun at and point out a cameo from one of their directors. So even the naming of the character of the background characters in this movie is elegant. Cocaine lady, hospital contortionist. Yeah. Like they just know what to name the character, so you know exactly who it is they're talking about.
You've talked about that before.
Yeah, but this is the best example I've ever seen. I mean, hospital contortionist can't be anyone else,
right?
Yeah, and so this is something else that this seeded was the idea of the comedy credits.
So I was going to ask you about that because,
but they're sort of building a language of comedy credits here. And, again, not overwhelming the audience last minute with jokes either. Like just the right amount. Every so often, the kind of a joke pops out from here and there. I've seen not that many of them, and I think that's great.
Author of A Tale of Two Cities.
Select. That's the one. I think that's the first fully fledged credits gag they do, because the rest of them are all about the crew in some way.
Yeah.
Gripology, generally in charge of a lot of things. Like those are more sort of like in jokes for the crew. Author of A Tale of Two Cities, Charles Dickens is the first kind of like. That's kind of like a joke about credits rather than people. Well, and then they have added to the disclaimer. So there.
Yes.
I mean, let's just use the entire canvas of the movie, guys. Like right down to the interstitials, and then we've already talked about
Guy in the cab.
Yeah, post-credit sequence.
It's either this or Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, right?
Oh, okay. I was going to go into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay.
But this one takes it just because I don't know how many times I've seen this movie. Well, first, I think of it as like it's the last brushstroke on a masterpiece.
Yeah, exactly. That's true.
That's what it feels like. That's what every post-credit sequence should be, right? It should be but also, and this is where it is like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. You've completely forgotten that this is a hanging thread at this point. So it just works on so many levels. This is Monet's signature, right? Isn't it?
Agreed.
So it's authentic.
All right. So I guess the only thing we have to do. I imagine we both think this is better than Airplane 2.
Yes. I mean, I don't know it. There's a lot of strong contenders for the best comedy movie of all time.
Yeah.
This is definitely
But this is in that discussion.
I think it might be the most accomplished comedy movie. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. I think you could learn everything you need to know about making comedy on film
just from watching this movie. That's what I was going to say.
And I don't think you necessarily do that with, let's say, Spinal Tap or,
Just this year, 1980, in a span of I think 2 months, you have The Blues Brothers, Airplane, and Caddyshack. Now all three are, to varying degrees, good movies. Yeah. This is a great movie.
Yeah. I was hoping you were going to say that. Yeah, I totally agree. But yeah, better than Airplane 2 and one of the best comedy movies of all time.
Agreed.
Inarguably.
All right. Do you agree, ladies and gentlemen? Is this one of the best
I
movies?
said inarguably already, so it doesn't. we don't need your contribution this time.
To get in contact with us, do absolutely nothing. Just sit at home and shut your mouths.
This is like it's like engagement. I'm doing disengagement. No, we're good. We're good on
Don't
this one.
you
We don't need
dare
anyone.
call in or snail
if
mail.
you have a different
Certainly don't contact us on Facebook, Instagram, X.
Yeah.
Any of those things. We don't need it. No Blue Sky. No Threads. Thank you very much.
No X's
I already said X.
unless they live in Texas. Did you?
Yeah.
I missed that completely.
Like so much of what I say.
Sorry. Oh, I guess I should have gone. Huh?
Yeah. Also, don't send an email to everythingsequel@gmail.com. All right, that's it. Look above.
Yeah, leave us a message.
You can also, if you leave any message for this movie, I suppose you should be doing it on Patreon.
Yeah, but if you have a different opinion for this movie alone, it doesn't count.
Fine. Well, look above the. Yes.
I was just gonna say, like, there's not many. I'll have arguments about most movies. I think Airplane. If anyone tries to tell me it's not as good as I think it is, I'm not really listening. I'm not entertaining it.
Very good then.
Sorry.
All right, look above the icon. Welcoming everyone into our fold.
Yeah, listen. All opinions count except
Yours about this.
About Airplane.
If it differs from mine.
I think I'm on the sturdiest ground.
Yeah,
I've
you're
ever
on the
been
side of the angels on that one.
Did you know? Speaking of my hatred for things, earlier this week I was on the Sony Pictures tour.
Mm-hmm.
I sat in a screening room, and the tour guide said, "You know, directors have sat in this screening room and watched the rushes of their movies." We're talking about directors from J.J. Abrams to Steven Spielberg, and of course, you know, I immediately pissed the seat just in case to sort of mark my territory, just in case. You know, if he's back in there and he happens to pick that seat, he's going to get a butt full of piss.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, look above the icon that you see for the Airplane movie, and you'll see our $10 episode, which is going to be The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad. That's our $10 episode.
I forgot about that subtitle.
Subtitle, baby. All right. For Tom Stewart of Lonesome Whistle Productions, Michael Schatz here. I'm from the How Dare You Awards. Like I said, our $10 episode is The Naked Gun. Tom, I want to hear it. Say goodbye to everybody, please.
Do you know what it's like to fall in the mud and get kicked in the head with an iron boot? Of course you don't. No one does. It never happens.
Sorry, Ted.
That's a dumb question. Skip that.
Sublime.
Oh,
With an,
I
love the way he says, with an iron boot. Of course not.
It really feels like, I don't know if they engineered it this way, but it really feels like maybe he did that scene after everyone else had left for the day.
God.
Or maybe even after everyone else had wrapped. It really feels there's something so solitary about it.
When he says, you want to talk about loneliness? I was never happy as a child. Christmas was a living hell.
Cavity searches all around.
All right, thanks for listening. We will be back.